You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host Nesbit, and after playing Switzerland, Night Demon and Cirith Ungol head to Italy to play the Metal Italia Festival. This is Night Demon on the road.
The one thing after the show is after hanging around and doing all that stuff, I decided to book a overnight bus for me and Christina to get to Milan. We didn't have the show wasn't until the following day, so we had a day off in between. Everybody else was staying in Basel and they were going to drive that day. It's a pretty long way, so I decided, well, let's get up. Let's just take this midnight or 1 a.m. bus. We'll get there early in the morning and we can go out and do our thing and really get some sightseeing done. We were planning on going to Verona, which is another really beautiful Italian city, a couple hours away from Milan, and then coming back that night and staying in the hotel that we have for the show the next day. So, that trip was quite eventful. We got on this bus they have these things called Flix buses. And they're really cheap and there's tons of them. They go all over the place and they're comfy, they're like, really nice buses. There's a bathroom on there. It's like a little bit better, something upgraded from like a Greyhound. So anyway, we get to the bus, all good, the station, and we go to get on the bus. I'm showing the guy my ticket, and I'm like, hey, where are our seats, I didn't notice, a seat number on the ticket, and I remember specifically picking seats out when I reserved the tickets online. Well, it turns out for whatever reason that wasn't the case. So we had to just sit wherever. There was a couple of seats that were open right towards the door. But, one guy came on after us and was like, hey, that's my seat. He was by himself. So we were like, oh, well, sorry. Is it okay, if we stay here? And he was like, yeah, it's okay. No problem. So he went on his own and found another seat. Then this freaking guy comes on who looks like he's been fucking living on the streets for the past month. And of course he points at the other seat that we're sitting in and just, really wants that seat for some reason. And this guy didn't smell very well and all that. So I let him sit there and I told Christina, go get another seat where you'll be by yourself or at least somewhere where you're not next to somebody. Well, at that point, there weren't any double seats left, so we had to split up. And she had to sit next to some guy that decided to just make himself super comfortable and spread out over the whole ride, snoring, blah, 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 shifting around. We were supposed to sleep on this fucking bus because the plan was we were going to get to the main station in Milan at 7:30 or 8 a.m. And then we were going to jump on another bus to go to Verona. So, I slept a little bit, but she really didn't sleep at all. So it was a really uncomfortable ride. And the guy next to me wasn't the most fucking, pleasant person to be sitting next to. So unfortunately, that night was kind of fucked. And we were super tired and dead when we got to the station. So we get to the station and it's morning. So I'm like, all right, this next bus comes at 9:30 or whatever. And, I got to look for this certain number. And it was a, bus depot. So there's a bunch of buses coming in and out. Found a little cafe there, went over there, had like a, coffee and a little pastry and something. And, kind of finally got a table where we can kind of chill and relax and, maybe try to rest our heads for, we had about an hour, I think, in between trains or buses. So as time goes on, it's getting closer to the time. So I'm like, I'm going to go outside and kind of prop up and keep an eye out for this bus. So I'm like, you stay here or whatever, I'll let you know, or come with me, So she ended up coming with me. And I'm looking, 9:15, 9:30 comes around. I don't see this bus. I don't know what's going on. So all right, well, maybe it's late. It's Italy, Things tend to run behind there. Everybody's really relaxed. 9:40 comes around. I'm like, what's going on? Where's this fucking bus? So I open up the app because it shows you can track, the bus, where it's coming from and all that. And sure enough, it's already gone and it's already halfway to Verona, or at least, 20 minutes departed. So I'm like, what happened? Where was this bus? I swear to God, I was looking at every single bus that came into the place, and not once did I see one with the number that we were supposed to take. So shit. All right, now what do we do? So we're both fucking dead tired at this point, and we're just like, you know what? Forget it. Forget the whole thing about going to the other city. Let's just go to the hotel that we have in Milan. Maybe by the time we get there, they'll let us check in early. We can take a nap, and then we can go hit the town at night. So I decided to do that. So then I'm looking at the map, and there's like the local trains that are there, like a subway, and basically took us about 2 hours to go like 30 miles just because of the way the trains are there. These aren't fast trains. They're just normal city trains. So, and that's a pretty far away. The venue that we were playing for this festival wasn't really in Milan. It was like 30 kilometers outside of the city. So, of course, the hotel was closer to there, as you would imagine. So finally, we get to this station that's kind of near the hotel, and I'm trying to look for a taxi because I don't want to walk another 20, 30 minutes or whatever it is to get to the damn hotel. She's got luggage. I've got my backpack and all that stuff. So finally I was able to figure out some kind of, rideshare Uber type of thing and call a car. And that took another 30, 40 minutes. Finally we got somebody, and it was a good 10, 15 minute drive. Got to the hotel, and hey, this place looked pretty nice. There was a underground swimming pool, saunas, restaurant. So great. So I go up to the desk to try to check in. Okay, with the band's Night Demon, Cirith Ungol. I should have a room under my name. We're here. Everybody's coming tonight. And we're supposed to have rooms, The guy can't find the rooms. He doesn't have the reservation. So then I'm trying to contact Jarvis to see if he can contact the promoter of the show. They speak pretty good English there, but there's still a bit of a language barrier. So after all this back and forth, turns out the guy didn't get us the rooms for that night, which is a problem because the guy at the hotel also told me that they didn't have any rooms available. Well, they had one regular room with like a double bed or whatever. And then they had two of these like kind of like apartment suites that are like, they're like 2 floors. One room is 2 floors. And there's like 2 beds and like a sofa couch. So we're talking between Jarvis, Brian, Laura, Tim, Rob, and Rose, 6 people. They had to take those rooms. So I had to pay for the room for the night just to get something and, get reimbursed eventually from the guys there. I don't know what happened with that. And then the next day, we were going to have to change rooms to the rooms that they actually had reserved for us for the show day.
So after Switzerland headed to Italy, we had a day off. Nice, amazing fucking drive through the Alps, right? Wasn't that just so freaking cool?
It was amazing.
Yeah, and there was like waterfalls, and we actually had a detour. Like, I guess they were working on one of the, like on the main road, remember? And we had a detour off.
Yeah, it was properly like windy up and down these valleys and stuff.
Yeah, it was really, really, really cool though.
It was.
Yeah, it was like being in the movie.
Mountains have no business looking that good. It's just rude.
It was like being in The Sound of Music, It was really nice. So I always really liked that drive from Switzerland to Italy. Done it quite a few times. And then we finally got to the hotel in Milan. And then they didn't have rooms for us. So there was a mix-up with the festival, and we had asked for a hotel buyout originally, but we asked for it on a different day because we were going to play in London. And they just canceled all the days of our hotel.
Oh,
so I ended up having to buy rooms for us. Luckily, we were able to get them at the same hotel that the bands were at. So, that kind of sucked, but especially after a long-ass drive. But it worked out. So, yeah, that's how we ended up getting those suites, remember? All they had left were like the presidential suites. It's like, oh my god, yeah, that's not cheap.
Yeah, and they were like these like long, tall penthouses that were 2-story. That was like nearly like a suite on top of a suite.
Yeah, there's this freaking multi-level, floors in there. And
with the bathrooms with like a whirlpool bath in them, and like stars in the ceiling, like light up stars that kind of twinkled.
Yeah.
But also a random window where you could see downstairs.
A huge window where like downstairs looks right up into the bathtub and the toilet.
And like there's like band and crew coming in and out of the room and all that. So
we're recording this right now, we are in Helsinki, Finland, getting ready to start the Queensryche tour, and we're looking through a window right now in our room that looks into the bathroom into a sauna, which is amazing because I love saunas. So,
Europe, go home, you're drunk.
Well, it's snowing outside,
Yeah.
Anyway, so we just chilled out a little bit that night. I think we took a nap and then had some dinner downstairs. Italian food, of course, at the Italian restaurant. That was...
But they just call it food.
Yeah, right. I was trying to find where the restaurant is because they said, I thought it was on the ground floor. And they said, no, it's underneath. And I'm like, in the basement? Like, what? So, like, I'm walking around on the ground floor, and I realize there's a glass floor, and I can see the restaurant underneath my feet. It's pretty freaky, right? You're walking on this glass floor, and you can see the level below. So I go, okay, I guess I know where the restaurant is now.
Yeah, just lots of unexpected glass. Do you think they ordered too much glass?
Maybe.
They're like, right, there's a window going here into the toilet. There's a window going on the floor.
Yeah, probably. Probably right.
Yeah,
probably right.
There you go.
So, we went and had some authentic Italian food. It was pretty good. And then we ended up going to the festival the night before we played. So we played on the second night, both bands. And so we wanted to go to the first night just to check it out.
This was actually my first time in Italy, playing the Metal Italia Fest. We flew in the night before from Switzerland, I think. And we got in early enough to go and see some of the festival the night before we played. So Overkill was playing, and I wanted to catch their set because I've been a huge Overkill fan pretty much my whole life. So, and I wanted to see the new lineup. They had a new drummer. They had a fill-in bass player, and we were going on tour with them soon. So we wanted to just see what's up, I guess, and watch their set. So that was cool.
And Overkill was headlining that night, so it was cool. We wanted to kind of like meet up with them since we were going to be touring with them a few weeks later on the King Diamond tour, but I didn't really get a chance to really talk to them. But anyway, it was cool to just see the show. Met some of the crew guys who ended up not being on our tour. So it was that, as far as like bonding with Overkill before the tour, that was kind of a wash. But it was cool to be at the fest. It was sold out. And it was another one of these situations where I was like, oh, I want to go to this place and see what it's like. So the history of the festival, I don't know much about. We have some Italian friends and some fans that have always said it's like a legitimate, cool heavy metal festival in a really cool venue. I don't know how many people, 1,000, something like that.
Something like that.
And we get there, and it's kind of a thing of like, oh, we've played here before. This has happened to me before. So, yeah, we played there in 2017 on the Accept tour. Once I went up to the backstage dressing rooms, I go, oh, okay, I remember this day. And it's funny, we're playing there on this upcoming tour with Queensryche too. So we'll be there for a third time. But it was cool. It was cool to just, run into some fans that night that wanted to chat, take some photos, and say hi, and that was the time to do it. And Overkill were great, and it was a good situation, and it was good to go get a lay of the land and find out that it's a place that I already had the lay of the land of.
The land is laid.
Mm-hmm. Finally get into the city, and of course it's gorgeous. Everything's beautiful. She's really amazed at, the architecture and all that. And so after, 30 minutes or so of walking around, taking pictures, doing all that stuff, it's like, all right, well, we're here now. Let's get a nice, fancy Italian dinner. So I found a cool spot that was on top of the shopping area. If you've ever been to Milan, Duomo, where all the shopping areas are, like super high-end stuff. We found a beautiful place that overlooked the cathedral and had an amazing dinner. So after that, hey, let's find some bars, let's go out, let's have some drinks and do all that. Well, meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get back to the hotel later, because at this point, I'm starting to realize that there's no trains that leave late that go all the way out there. I mean, there's local buses, and all that stuff, but they just cruise around in town in taxis and all that stuff. So finally, when we try to decide to go back, it's probably already around midnight or something like that. I can't find a taxi. I can't find an Uber. Basically, nobody wanted to drive all the way out there because it was so far. Even though the fare, I was willing to pay whatever the hell it took, nobody wanted to do it. So fuck. All right. Well, what do we do now? Okay. Well, at this point, Nicholas had arrived with, the rest of the band and everybody, and they had gone to the festival to go watch some bands and check it out, check out the night before and see what's going on over there. So I called him. I'm like, dude, we're kind of stranded here. I don't know what to do. I looked at, all right, well, fuck it. Maybe I'll just get a room for the night. Well, there was nowhere to stay that was less than $200 or more a night, because it's Milano. It's a pretty high-end, fashion capital of Italy place. So he's like, dude, I don't know, man. This is going to be tough because I'm already at the festival with the guys, and it's another 20 minutes further away from the hotel. And he was already there with them, and he couldn't come all the way. It would have been a 2-hour round trip or something crazy like that. So I'm like, all right, well, let me figure something out. How about this? If I can get, I kind of started figuring out that there's the local buses, they only go so far out of the city, which was, maybe halfway to the hotel. So I said, all right, well, what if I get us, to the furthest point that I can with the buses, and could you come pick us up? All right. We made an agreement for that. So we needed to kill more time. There's a cool palace there in town. We went and did that, checked that out, beautiful fountain, blah, blah, blah. So finally, I find the bus that we need to take to get us to the outskirts of town. So it was kind of near this nightclub where there was a bunch of people hanging around outside. And, I saw it coming, and we were a little bit, we were kind of like half a block from it. So I was like, hey, come on, let's run over there and jump on that bus. So we get right to the bus. So I jump on, and I got her hand in mine, and I'm pulling her to the bus, and the doors close basically right on our hands. And so she lets go, and the door closes, and I'm on the bus, and she's on the fucking sidewalk. So I'm freaking out. I start yelling like, hey, stop, don't go, open the door. I can't get the door open. There's a bunch of people on the bus, and we start taking off, and I just see her disappearing in the distance, and it's just like, oh, fuck, now what? I don't think she had her service on her phone or something like that, so I already knew it was going to be tough to get a hold of her. So I'm yelling at the driver like, hey, man, I need to get off, and he won't budge or even listen to me. Luckily, there was a guy on there that was like, hey, don't worry. He spoke English. He said, this bus just is going to go to this next stop, which is like, a quarter of a mile away. So you can just get back over there. So I get off this bus, and I just start running. And finally I get back to where we were, and I see her there just waiting like, fuck, I'm so sorry. She's like, I can't believe that happened. Oh my God, I thought we were going to be lost and this and that. So anyway, long story short, we finally got on the right bus and got to the outskirts of the city. And Nicholas came and picked us up, my savior, guardian angel. And we were off to the hotel to end this night in this adventurous disaster of a day.
The second day of the fest, the day that we actually played, we had a lot of friends on that day. Cirith Ungol, of course, but Haunt was also on that day, and so was Satan. I think they were touring together, actually, throughout Europe with Hellfire, if I'm not mistaken. And Hellfire was on the festival, too. Not sure how much of their sets that I caught, because whenever festivals happen, I'm usually out, or I try to peruse the vendors' setups, because I need as much vinyl as I can fit in my suitcase to bring home at any given time. But I was trying to cram that in as much as I could before we had to play.
Yeah, it was a pretty good day. The lineup of the day was kind of cool because Satan was there, who we've toured with many times and who I manage, and Haunt was also playing, who's on tour with Satan, and Hellfire was there from San Francisco. I actually got them on that tour. It was their first European tour.
It was in a killer venue. A really cool place in like kind of a warehouse district, one of those. So it's pretty isolated as far as any other amenities besides whatever's going on there, which is fine. It worked out. It's a big room, and it was a great lineup. We played right before Warlord, and then with Cirith Ungol following Warlord. It was nice to have a bit of a break in between sets. So a lot of times with the Night Demon and Cirith Ungol thing, we end up playing back to back, and we make it happen. But it is nice to have a little bit of a break in between.
So the backstage was basically just a bunch of friends, and the headliner was Death SS. They're kind of a legendary Italian metal band. Their records were reissued not too long ago, and the label had sent me all of them, and I go, oh, this band's pretty freaking cool. And I saw a video of them. I think this was probably only their second reunion show, and I was like, holy shit, man, I had no idea that they had so much kind of theatrical stuff going on. But anyway, I'll get to that, because they were the band that closed out the night. So Hellfire opened the show, really good vibes, good to hear those guys. Haunt played after them. We've seen them many times, so that was another kind of refreshing thing. I can't remember who else played. Satan played a great set. Mm-hmm. The fans were really stoked on Satan. And we got up there and did our thing. I thought the Night Demon show went pretty well.
mean, yeah, it was really good. Playing the Outsider songs, I think, went over really well. The fucking crowd, I mean, I remember just going out there. You know, we played in the afternoon, I think around 3:30 or something like that. And, you know, it was Sunday, day 2. And it was packed, man. And people just were fucking ready and hungry and, you know, knew the songs, and, you know, it just felt really good.
And this was we played in the middle of the day, in between bands. Haunt was right before us, and Satan was right after us. And it was a really short changeover. That was a stressful one. I remember that being festivals where the back line is shared by every band. There's only one set of drums, and you have like 15 or 20 minutes to change everything over and get going. It's really rough sometimes. And especially when you have your in-ear set up, and we have our in-ear rack and everything. It takes time to set that shit up, and you just kind of got to wing it for these festivals. It's playing festivals versus shows, regular shows, is a whole different ball game. At shows, at least you can sometimes at least get your shit together early on in the day. But when you're a middle band in a festival, you generally don't get a whole lot of... You don't sound check, you don't really get anything. You just get 15, 20 minutes and to throw your stuff up as best you can and just go for it.
didn't have Joao 1 or Joao 2, so we didn't have our sound man, but we had Laura on the lights. How did that go for you?
Ooh, I was up against it because it was a giant ass house board that, I don't know, I'm pretty sure has been used to fucking put a mission on the moon at some point. So, yeah, it was complicated enough to hop on.
Plus, it's a festival, you know, so you're not getting...
Yeah, you don't have time. Like, yeah, you can't be there.
What were the changeovers, like 15 minutes, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't much to it. So I tried to... It was good to be there the night before. Like you said, get a lay of the land for the lighting board. Talk to the 2 guys that were kind of running that. Watch what they were doing. And sort of wing it, you know? But yeah, I remember just like sweating and kind of panicking. I remember our buddies Titus were there, and like
the guys who make the guitar player is the guy from Jailbreak Guitars who makes our guitars.
Yeah. But like Barty, their drummer, like he like leaned over the crash barrier at one point to like say hi, and I was just like, go away. So sorry, dude. Because I was just up against it trying to learn this fucking big complicated thing, but it was grand.
Yeah, it was good.
And I always, when we don't have our own wee couple of lights, you know, and geysers to blast a bit of smoke and stuff, you know, it's not as much fun.
No.
But it is what it is.
As this never compromise.
But yeah, that was good. So yeah, after the Night Demon set, that went really well. Satan played, and so did also Warlord. So we had a little bit of time between that and the Cirith Ungol set.
Probably a little over an hour or so with changeovers and all that before the Cirith Ungol set. Yeah, I mean, probably just went backstage and chilled out, cooled down, and probably went over some parts. You know, I kind of got to change my headspace for their stuff and brush up on a few things. Although, you know, we had just come off of the show in Basel, so I feel like we're pretty warm from that one. It was a few days before that. So, yeah, just kind of getting my headspace. Probably left most of my gear down there to be set up. You know, didn't have to move too much stuff around. You know, again, just it's mostly getting Rob set up down there. So that's Brian's job to help him out with that, and he does a good job. So.
And during Cirith Ungol's set this night, I remember, like, in between songs, there was some really weird, like, almost synthesizer kind of sound coming out of, like, we couldn't figure out where. And I just was like, what the fuck is that? And Jarvis looked at me in between songs, and he's like, what the fuck is that? And it's like, it sounded like someone was just holding out a note on a keyboard or a synth or something, and we're like, we don't have backing tracks, it's not from a backing track or something, like, what the fuck is that? And everyone's dumbfounded, and like, Armand's checking his guitar, Jarvis is checking his bass, there's nowhere on drums it's gonna come from, but like, you know, and it's just this like panic almost, what the fuck, where is that sound coming from, how do we stop it, we can't find it. And then the monitor guy starts going through and muting channels one by one to find where this noise is coming from. And they're labeled by name, the channels. And, like, after eventually he finds, like, he's like, who is Tim? And I'm like, oh, it's Tim's pedal that he hooks up to his microphone. His pedal malfunctioned, or he has a pedal that he uses so his reverb and delay is always the same, and he hooks it up. He hooks it up to his microphone, so he doesn't have to rely on the sound guy to give him reverb and delay effects. But this was a side effect of using that pedal. Apparently it malfunctions every now and then, and he might have triggered something, but yeah, it was pretty weird hearing that synth sound, because it didn't sound like a mistake. It sounded like this ominous sound, like almost for an effect, but it just didn't stop, and we couldn't find where it was coming from. So that was an interesting thing that happened during Cirith Ungol's set that night.
first note, it was just like, all right, here we go. Just that fucking great feeling again of playing with those guys and seeing how passionate people are about their music and how much they care about it and how much they know it. Again, another crowd for me to play in front of with these guys for the first time. And, the last time, I put that in quotes because at this point, who knows? So, yeah, big shoes to fill. Paying tribute to Jerry and Jimmy's playing and just trying to fucking, channel their spirits and, give the people what they want. It's not about me when I play with those guys. It's about that music and just doing it justice and really kind of letting myself go and, melting into the music the way it needs to be played.
Cirith Ungol set, I thought went really well until my bass amp broke or whatever. Like something happened, and I ended up having to plug directly into some amp that was on stage. I think it was only for like the last song or last two songs, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and it was really good. But it was another one of those, it was really weird when I plugged into that amp, but it was another one of those things where it's like, I think that, the older guys in the band kind of got the feeling that like, man, this is really good. Like, we don't want to retire, And I think the fans thought so too. And the promoter even said something, hope you guys come back. So, it's, once Rob heard that, he was like, we're not retiring, So.
Look, I'm half Italian. I love the Italian people. I love the Italian food. But things aren't always run very smoothly in our experience. Believe it or not, the food usually isn't very good when we play shows out there for some reason. But this time it was actually pretty good. The food was good. It wasn't your typical Italian food. It was like burgers and shit, but they were really good. And, the organization was really good. The venue was awesome. And, I had to have to tip my hat to the guys that put this one on because it was probably, I'd have to say, yeah, definitely the best festival we've ever played in Italy. So thanks for that. Grazie mille.
But yeah, it was pretty, they had like a tattoo artist on site. They had all kinds of stuff at this fest, and it was a good vibe, right?
Yeah, there was a cool Ungol poster done especially for it too, by Simone Strieg. I hope I haven't butchered.
Yeah, that's really cool, like long poster.
Yeah. Yeah, very sort of Lord of the Rings, so that was cool. And yeah, it was hard work. Like it was, we worked hard that day, but it was a good one overall, and just great to be around your friends and having catch-ups and stuff.
Yeah, and like we always say, it's always hard when both bands play the same day, but it's really hard on a festival, because we just don't have the setup time,
So yeah, post-show, just feeling the high and, hanging out with all of our buddies, the Satan guys, Haunt, Hellfire, our great friends, the Italian trio, Roberto, Lisa, and Viviana, who've traveled to very many Night Demon and Cirith Ungol shows all over the world. So it was great to see them and hang out. I'm pretty sure that, we closed that bitch out, man. I mean, we were there outside drinking and having a good time, smoking cigarettes. Just doing what we do. It was just an overall great, fun time, man. And, I would definitely play that festival again in a heartbeat.
And we went back to the presidential suite and got a little bit of sleep and had to go to the airport pretty early in the morning.
Oh, shit, we did, yeah.
Yeah, because the following day we were playing in London.
Well, that's it for this week in Night Demon's adventures, I guess, in Italy. You can check out this whole show in the subscriber section on nightdemon.net. If you aren't a subscriber and want to find out how to become one and get access to all these live shows, check out nightdemon.net for info. Until next time, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.